Yo, what is good? Quick Crypto family and Coin Factory family back again with another daily Casper Crypto live stream, and as always, we have a lot of very interesting news to cover in today's stream. We're going to be doing a little bit of a summary of what we're going to be seeing throughout the week regarding macro, and also some big crypto developments taking place in, the congressional panels, if you will, happening this week, and of course, more importantly, what's happening right now with Casper. We can see right now Casper's currently down 0.69% on the daily time frame. It was down a lot earlier today, but it's made a bit of a recovery as of late, which is good to see. And I'd like to believe, not financial advice, but the reason for that is because of the recent reassuring announcements. We have been seeing increasing FUD, if you will, regarding the KEF and Casplex. And the reason of the FUD is not necessarily because anything really bad has happened. I'm trying to find the exact way to word this. But ultimately, as we should do as the community, rightly so, people have now started asking questions of Johnny, of the KEF, of Casplex. Because while you have got IGRA that are still, for the most part, not very well known, there's a lot of information regarding smart contracts, and the kind of inner workings is not being openly available to all of us, which of course is not very reassuring. But the problem is with KEF, with Casplex, they are in regard far further along than anybody else, kind of being the front runners for the smart contracts on Casper right now, and we know just as much as we do with IGRA, in my belief, than we do with Casplex, or a similar amount. Now, the questions being asked is perfectly fine. The FUD comes from the responses from the Executive Vice President of the KEF, Johnny, who, and I'm going to give the benefit of the doubt, because truth of the matter being as well that Johnny, to my understanding, he is Chinese. English is not his first language. Point being is because that the way he will reply to people may come across as quite short, and therefore maybe a little bit rude. But some other nations around the world, the way they communicate is very direct, and sometimes direct can be rude. Point being, we're going to get into that in this stream, but at the same time, we're going to get into some more information as well about the fact that IGRA Labs have now officially confirmed their testnet launch date, or roughly, which is going to be next month. And equally, we have got a scoop and update regarding the USDC Casper integration, which I did share with my VIPs already, shared with them earlier. I think it was last night, I believe I shared it with them. And I'll be sharing it in this stream as well. But as always, if you enjoy the daily content, leave a like, share with your friends, subscribe for more. And if you want to be more in tune to the crypto Casper community, come check out the free Discord server, and equally the VIP group to find out a lot more ahead of time, equally alpha information regarding crypto and Casper, and institutional documentation, trade alerts, educational courses, weekly live stream. We had one earlier today as well, where we covered this as well. All of that and much more. Links down below in the description, on my homepage as well. 7-day free trial. And then also, if you want to still have the benefit of a free trial, check out the BYDFI affiliate links, go for the Discord server, follow the steps, and you can get a 1-month free trial to this as well. But I'll talk about that later on in this stream. As always, so welcome back again to the Quick Crypto and Coin Factory channel. My family, my people, welcome back. DD Bros, you're doing very, very well. And you too, Dimitar, hello to you too. The Future Finance Elite is here, you know it. We are going to be very fortunate in the near future. Welcome back, LB, my man. Third, yo to you too, here for my daily dose of Casper Hopium. Who put $5 Casper today? You know that I did. Apologies. I did put some $5 Casper today, off the back of the incentive to buy it at 1 p.m. UTC. And yeah, I mean, we did see a little bit of a movement from Casper as a result of that as well. Of course, it's not going to save the price, so to speak, but I mean, DCA at the end of the day, it's DCAing, right? So either way, good all round to see. And yeah, welcome back, LB, my man. The FUD he slides on me. There is no one so blind as he who has sight but no vision. Very philosophical. And I mean, yeah, the FUD ultimately is noise, right? The noise that's coming through. It's the FUD's the kind of the buzzword here. I wouldn't necessarily clarify it as FUD, although people can debate for them as they wish. But ultimately, tough questions are being asked, as they should be, because The last thing anybody wants is a repeat of change finance. Change finance, not enough questions were asked. And look what we got us. So KEF, and to be fair, actually, Shy is the catalyst for this. Shy, on his exit, was very, very vocal about his stance with the KEF and with Johnny. And, of course, we know there was bad blood between the two of them, or between Shy and the KEF and Johnny. But whether it was done out of personal sentiment or either way, just generally, point being is, as a result of that, people have now started asking questions. And questions that, aren't even receiving answers. So the questions have been asked, and we're going to get to that in this stream in just a moment. Welcome back, Kryptoni, bro. Hope you're doing very, very well. More FUD, yes, we have got some more FUD. It's not too detrimental to me. It's not the same level as Shy and Sompolinsky. It's not as severe, but it's still worth covering so we know what's happening in the space. Also, so you are yourself protected and informed about Casper. Welcome back, Ben, bro. Alt season normally starts in June. I think it has been on the 17th and 12th, the last two. And, I mean, yeah, in that regard, we could potentially see an alt season very soon. Again, if you're looking at the M2 money supply, which is a relatively accurate indicator, 80 to 90% correlation, it does suggest we should be seeing the rally happening within the next week or so, which would therefore match up with Bitcoin rallying and therefore alts rallying themselves and then an alt season. However, what we did see an alt season to an extent in the last rally around this period of time, but when you look at the really big assets and the usual comparisons we make is Solana and AVAX, those two didn't actually start rallying properly until August, which is 2 months later on. So, and also keep in mind as well, this cycle is fundamentally very different to the last ones. We got Bitcoin at 106k already, which is very, very early compared to where we saw it in the last cycle. Well, last cycle we saw a double top. It's been a different scenario this time around. I do think we're getting an alt season, and I think it may happen a little bit later. We'll have to wait and see again. I haven't got a time frame. I don't know. None of it's financial advice. It's just my perception on what's happening right now. The indicators I'm looking out for is when Bitcoin's going to rally, and also, as always, the Bitcoin dominance, because the Bitcoin dominance is ultimately the biggest indicator and the sole indicator for when alts are going to start pumping like crazy. Of course, Ethereum is the leader of the alt cycle as well, so when Ethereum starts rallying, alts will rally with it, but Bitcoin dominance at 64.53%, very high. When Bitcoin dominance falls below 60%, that'll be a good indicator. Once it goes below 50%, then that's alt season. Again, if we go back to the last cycle, Bitcoin dominance started falling off, as you mentioned, in June. Well, properly. It reached 73% as of January 21st. And then it came down here. Reached the bottom here around May 21st, and then we started seeing some alts rallying in this June period here. Solana and AVAX didn't rally till here. So again, different projects had different timelines, and Casper's biggest development seems to be coming out going into July, August time anyways. So maybe we see a later cycle move for Casper, but if we do, it could still be a very explosive one like AVAX, like Solana, and like many other projects as well. One thing that we have to remember as well, as I've been saying myself for time now, and I've been telling my VIPs even further ahead of time, and equally as Dr. Martin Heisberg from Uphold been saying as well, in the next 6 months, we're going to see hundreds of crypto projects going bankrupt because they are fundamentally terrible, they have no use case, they are copycats, they're just going to go bankrupt. When that happens, you're going to see a lot of the other alts start to get that capital flowing into them as well. Now, what are going to fall off, we have to wait and see. I'll be surprised if any of the really, really big ones falls off. They will happen in the future, maybe not this cycle. You see a lot of smaller mid to micro caps falling off. And then going into the 2026 era, you'll see a lot of the relatively big cap projects that are just completely worthless but just look good also falling off as well. Maybe ICP. I'm only highlighting that because people don't like ICP. I have not looked enough to ICP to make a perception on it, but one thing I do not trust with ICP, which I've been public about, is their supply, is their tokenomics. That for me is the reason why I do not trust ICP. That's the only reason that I have for it, because I'm not looking too much into it, but that for me is enough. And max supply, infinite, that to me is a straight no-go era. Because every project that I've seen that's collapsed in this space, big projects, like Terra Luna, like Mantra, and I think even A0 maybe as well. I might be mistaken in that regard. Let me check actually. A0. When it loads. well, max supply is even now just not even there anymore. Point being is all the big projects that did collapse and go to zero had infinite max supplies. So the premise is, of course, they can print tokens out of thin air. That is no different from money we have right now, and that system is broken. Why do you think we're going to crypto now? Why do you think the dollar is deteriorating right now? Because there's so much just useless dollars out there because it's been printed out of thin air. Infinite max supply tokens are no different. So that's why I don't trust ICP personally, although it is got some form of correlation to AI, I imagine. So maybe it'll do very well. Again, my understanding of ICP is lackluster, but because of that alone, I personally will not get into ICP. Casper, of course, is in a completely different bracket, and this one is definitely going to survive because it's everything that crypto should have been, and is adhering to Satoshi Nakamoto's original consensus and vision. But before we get into any more of the announcements or questions, welcome back, Andy Bro. You're doing very, very well. Got $50 worth of caps today. I love to hear it, brother. Keep stacking that bag. Welcome back, Wing Hong, bro. In due time, we will be mooning 100%, and so much more. I'll get into more of the questions in a moment. Let's quickly get into the sources for today's stream. So to start off with, we'll get into the USDC element. So we've got this post here from Casper class, and I'm not going to get into the whole post. It's just pretty much a placeholder for me to talk about this. So thread USDC on Casper bridged or native. There are whispers of USDC coming to Casper. What does it mean? Why does it matter? And so on and so forth. Now, I'm not going to get into the post here itself. It's a good post. Nothing wrong with the post. But I'm going to cover my perception of it. First off, we know that bridged Casper will come first, or bridged USDC will come first, and then it'll be native later on, especially with USDC. So that's going to happen. But the whispers has been confirmed by the trusted sources that it is just speculative, as I'm now going to load up the screenshot, which again I did show to my VIPs ahead of time. Rhubarb Media, who, for your information, that is Chad, and that's the person who used to run the Casper account and now runs Casper Commons. Rhubarb Media Chad says that the whole USDC KEF meeting, the talk about it is highly speculative. Wolfie and the KEF had a meeting in New York with the Circle crew, and that's about it. It was more of an introduction of Casper, but nobody came away from the meeting signing a document. Still, it's a step to make. It is a step. These things take time. So the update is, as I perceived, when we saw Johnny's post, when he was given that massive rant on Shy, and then at the very, very end, put a little snippet saying, we're meeting with Circle in next week. First off, I still have an issue, without a better choice of words, an issue with him putting that little bit of, quite a big announcement in that sense on the end of a massive FUD post on Shy. I do have a problem with that personally, because you kind of pair the two together, which I think is unfair. But also, the post, while it's good to keep the community informed, it drove a lot of speculation about what's going to happen. Of course, I also spoke about it myself. Now, again, Rhubarb Media Chat did confirm that we're going to be seeing USDC in due time coming to Casper. These things take time, of course, and we've seen from Johnny and the KF that it's going to first be a bridged version to USDC onto Casper, and then eventually it will be native as well. Now, there has been a lot more talks regarding the actual legitness of Casplex, KF, and whatnot. We'll get into that in a moment as well, but the whole point to highlight here is that when I mentioned maybe the meeting happened this week, it did. Johnny said next week, but he said it on a Sunday. And Sunday is the end of the week, so of course it did happen throughout this week. So the meeting's already happened. The same way that Circle got its IPO, and it's gone public. So Casper basically introduced himself to Circle, and now they are, I guess, more aware of Casper. We have seen now KuCoin have a USDC trading pair as well. So again, there's nothing necessarily wrong about it. It's me just trying to bring clarification and more understanding to the community about what's happening right now. The meeting's happened. Introduction of Casper to Circle, which is good. You'll see things take time. Nothing was signed, no documents were signed, but it's a step in the right direction. Now, there have been some posts or some comments regarding whether the Casplex and KF are doing things as they should be doing it with good intentions, and therefore doesn't tarnish Casper's reputation, at least in the short term. No matter what the KEF does, I'm pretty sure Casper will be perfectly fine. So in that regard, let's get into some of the posts real quickly before I come back full circle. So we have this post here, which I was, bear witness before this post was even published, because I was in the right channels, from Towser, who just made a very, outward post saying, since I can't reach anybody via DMs or the various groups that I'm a part of trying to reach out to them, I'm doing this on Twitter. Hi KEF team, as a long-time Casper supporter, I'm reaching out to ask for clarity regarding the Casplex, specifically its team and security practices. There's very little info, public info on who is building Casplex. The frequently answered questions mentions it's KEF funded, but doesn't detail contributions, affiliations, or how security is being handled. With Casplex working on a layer 2, transparency matters. Very fair point. So we ask some questions. Can you please clarify who is building it? The individuals, like the individuals or teams public? Are their credentials even viable or verifiable even? The security structure, has the code been audited? And if yes, by whom? The KS role in all of this? And so on and so forth. To be clear, this inquiry is not meant to be an accusation or attack. My goal is to understand the landscape as someone who deeply cares about the health and credibility of the Casper ecosystem. This, to me, is probably the best structured business post I've seen, especially in this community so far, because with respect, this community has become very, very emotional recently, surrounding all the FUD. Very simple post here saying, not trying to FUD anything, I just want to know some very simple questions that I'm not getting answers to. Who's building it? Is it secure? What is your role as KEF? And Johnny came back. Response to this post. Starting off, if I have a choice, I don't want to reply to this. I have a bigger issue with those who comment these as good questions, because these are literally bad questions. Now, to me, that in itself is the problem. That's why the title stares KEF and Casplex FUD, because that is, what do you mean? I don't understand where these are bad questions. It was 3 very simple questions. Who's building Casplex? Team behind it, are they verifiable? Is it secure? And what is your role to KEF? Who are you? Because that information is not easily available. That's the problem again. The marketing behind Casper and the people behind it is very, very hard to find, if not even not there sometimes. And Johnny's first response to that is, they are not good questions, they're literally bad questions, and I don't even want to reply to this, but I have to. Now, I think that in itself is the reason why a lot of FUD's been brewing now surrounding Johnny, and this is what Shai was highlighting himself, that Johnny is an issue. Now, I'm not trying to either, the premise of this right now is even not me trying to target or surround, I'm not trying to spread FUD, target Johnny, none of that. I'm simply depicting that this first sentence alone is an issue for me. Because the way I read this previous post, there's nothing bad about the questions here. And he's asking with respect, just having some clarity about the matter, which I think is a very fair thing to do. So he goes into that one of the reasons is whatever I say, it may be interpreted as I'm speaking of good. And I get this point. Again, I've taken this part, the first sentence, as it is. But the reason he says why they are literally bad questions, because then it makes it seem like Johnny is speaking for the good of Casplex and trying to undermine IGRA. Now, I could understand the first part. Second part, why is IGRA mentioned? So if he's just said these are bad questions because it seems like I am now speaking on behalf of Casplex when I'm not the sole part of that team, fair enough. But mentioning IGRA, now I'm like, okay, so where are you going with that as well? I'll still answer these questions in the comparable manner since I see Towser mention about IGRA in comments, but I do love Dim Duman and his team, Dim Duman and his team, who is the people behind IGRA to my knowledge. So he says he's extremely disappointed by the questions. I also don't like the fact it sounds like to me like a blackmail of morality to say transparency matters. Yeah, see what this is again, and I'm trying to give some. I don't know the right word I'm trying to find right now, but I don't want to even make it sound like I'm trying to be excusing for anything as well, but to my knowledge, again, Johnny is not first language English speaker. And he can understand English perfectly fine, so I'm not by any means trying to discredit his ability. If anything, he could probably say better than I can. My English is terrible. But the way he's conducted some of these posts, especially as of late, and all of it does seem to be very FUD driven because his approach is very direct. Which, if you're a Twitter keyboard warrior, fine. But if you're meant to be kind of perceived as some form of like focal point or head of a initiative surrounding a project, as we had the issue with Shai in the first place because he was very emotional in replying, it can't also work or be given as a buy for Johnny as well. So, has this whole little early paragraph here that I don't think was necessary. You could have just simply started off here. Who builds Casplex? If you ever see their X page and post or YouTube video page, my posts or slides, yada, 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 in a minute you will see the contact info immediately. So he's basically saying, if you pay attention to anything that I have posted or these people have posted, you would see the contact info. If you are really a long-term supporter, you couldn't have never heard of KRC20, and you should have already had contact with them before if you were interested. Which, again, Towson mentioned he tried to contact people and they didn't respond to him. That's why he's gone this method. Maybe you should ask who builds IGRA. Again, don't know why IGRA's commented in this thing, either way. For Casplex, Chris Kang and 5BB are known developers, not famous, but they release protocols and products and so on and so forth. And then he's talking about IGRA again. I don't understand why IGRA keeps getting mentioned here when it's pretty much a question just about the KEF and Casplex here. Maybe think that they are DAG labbed, because again, the core developers or the people behind IGRA, you have people like Mike Zack, who was part of the DAG lab team, and there's one more as well that I forget his name, and I apologize for that because I should know it. But you've got people who are part of DAG labs who are part of IGRA as well, so they are perceived as more of a trustworthy in that sense, I guess, because they would have worked with some Polinsky and Michael Sutton and those people and Shy. He mentioned the team here. Yeah, Mike Zack here. You got Dennis here as well. Ex DAG Labs. There you go. So you got Dennis here. You got Mike Zack. And you also got Dim Dummin here as well. Again, go on and so forth and so forth. And you talk about a lot about DAG Labs here. I don't want to get. Yeah, again, I'm going to skip over this part because I don't really know that. I don't know where he's going with it, and for me, it's not necessary, and it's just kind of tangenty. Then, how's the code been audited? Not yet. So the questions right now is, who built Casplex? The answer to that is who's behind Casplex. It's Chris, Kang, and 5BB. And then, has the code been audited yet? Security? Not yet. Plan was done by XOBits Lab, and it's up to the Casplex team if they want to share it, which, and I hope you may direct the same question to IGRA Labs. Again, this to me is part of the issue why I see it as kind of FUD. Pretty much every post or point here made by Johnny now has been paired it with IGRA. Almost like saying, okay, but why not ask the same question of IGRA Labs? Well, IGRA Labs are nowhere near as far along as you. You have a public layer 2 testnet already out. And you are already talking to the likes of Circle and USD Tether. You're talking to these big stablecoin issuers. You've got your KRC20 has been out since September. You've been more in the community and ecosystem for months and months now, and there's still information that we're lacking. IGRA has only been announced for like 3 months now, and they're only now starting to make some big developments and moves. So while these questions should be asked at IGRA Labs as well, there's a timeline difference here. Now on the KF, you will get an official reply soon, but let me ask you, what oversight or due diligence should KF perform on initiatives if funds in your opinion? And then goes on a bit more here as well. And this is where we get this post here. Towser in response to Towser. I'm not sure how much back and forth. So it went a bit further here. Then, Towser, it goes a bit further on. Towser saying you're running wild, stop, being childish, stop being emotional, answer the questions officially, blah, blah, blah. Johnny also then starts, posting some of the comments made from Shy's Telegram that he recently made, which basically depicts Shy spreading his concerns regarding KRC20, his beliefs about them, and depicting that as you're part of an emotional group. So that's why he's being combative off the bat, which again, to go all the way back, the very first post made by Towser was a simple request for information. There was nothing combative about this. That's the issue. It went from 0 or 1 to 10 straight away. And I'm not going to go through the whole thing because we'll be here for a while. It ended up finishing off here, where Towser says, Johnny, I was going to just go to sleep and respond later, but I need to reply. I'm not a teenager, so I'm not going to reply back. I don't want these quick fire back and forth. I don't want to do this FUD with the Sundance, no. Ask directly questions about transparency, audits, and KF oversight because I support a family office that's conducting early stage research on Casper. These questions were first raised in multiple Telegram groups, privately via DMs to you and the KF well before anything was posted publicly. But there was no response, and the response wasn't just offensive, it was evasive, emotional, and misrepresentative. You cherry-pick Telegram comments, strip them from context, and try to frame me as hypocritical or malicious. It's not, it's diligence. And I'm part of the Telegram group you're talking about, Shire's group. I've seen the whole context, and I am with Towser here. It's not a matter of picking sides. That's not the point here. The whole premise here is, again, it's the very combative nature. That's my issue. And it goes a little bit more here, going back and forth, saying step away. This information, these threads, this back and forth, if you care for the drama, I know some people do care about the drama, I will leave a link to some of this in my Discord server. I'll put it probably in the Casper channel, not the information channels, because the information channels where I try to put the actual informative information. The Casper channels where you can kind of put whatever you want, so I'll put that in there. But Casper Silver, rightly so, says if asking tough questions disqualifies someone from being taken seriously, then we haven't got a community, we have a cult. And I completely agree. That is right on the money right there. People, rightly so, are now asking relatively tough questions of the KEF, of Johnny, regarding to me, very simplistic matters, which is just, who's building Casplex? Is it secure? What is your role as the KEF? And I think, again, Johnny mentions IGRA because of stuff mentioned in the comments, I think. Yeah, IGRA looks solid with documentation and clear info about the team behind it. I'm eagerly awaiting their launch. And to be fair, if you go onto IGRA, which I'll get into this post in a quick moment, you go onto IGRA, I'm not sure exactly where it was, but I'm fairly sure there was a post they made which says, welcome to the team. You can see all the people who are part of IGRA. IGRA have done this as well. Whereas XXIM has actually also tried to reach out to the Casplex and KEF team to have these sort of interviews. And that's also mentioned from XIM here as well. I'm going a bit down a rabbit hole. I apologise. I don't like covering the FUD, but it's important to understand. He went down a little bit. He also responded to a comment here as well, where perhaps it was, yeah, he said, put some facts on right now. I'm not fun about the KEF. I've also tried to ask questions of them. I got IGRA Lab to come on and we spoke about stuff. Tried to ask you guys and you didn't come at all. I asked Casper Door, I asked Chris Kang, I asked you, Johnny. No one came on board until Chris Kang potentially asked Casper Door to come onto the show. Again, it's just a lack of understanding and transparency right now that's happening in this space. And again, if I keep scrolling down, I should be able to find a screenshot of their team. I know I have it in my community, so it's not even hard to find. Okay, I can't find it. But I do have a screenshot of kind of the team or the members behind IGRA Labs anyways. That is in my community, you can find it there. But again, this is Towser asking here about IGRA looking solid. KEF and Casper looking a little bit lacking information, which he's not trying to say I don't trust you. He's just saying, can you give me more information so I can, create a better understanding? I think that is completely fair. So I'm going to get into some questions at the moment, and then we'll get into the other news. That is kind of it for the FUD. I don't want to talk about it for too much longer. But this is precisely where we're at right now, and it does, for me, at least raise my perception and understanding of maybe what Shai was talking about. And I'm not trying to say Johnny's in the wrong. I'm not trying to say that, as Shai put some very colourful words on how he perceives Johnny. I'm not saying that at all. I haven't got a personal problem with Johnny. I have an issue with the way he is very combative and defensive when asked very, simplistic questions, and he does it quite frequently, we've seen recently. I'm not trying to say Johnny's a liar by any means. I'm not, but it's a weird way of how I'm trying to depict this. I'm not trying to by any means target anybody. I am, as we should all be doing as a community, asking questions that, in regard we are, I wouldn't say deserved of an answer, but we have a right to at least know, right? Again, we remember Change Finance. We remember the scam that happened with it. We don't want to happen again. And while the KF and Johnny, and Casplex, I am very confident that they're not going to do a Change Finance, information like that would give me a lot more clarity. Who's everyone behind the team building Casplex? Or the KS full rollers and the actual people behind it? And equally, is it security audited? Is it got trust? Which Johnny said not yet. Again, we'll find out more about that hopefully in due time, as Johnny did say that the KF will be officially responding. But yeah, the issue is, again, Towers didn't want to make this public. He wanted to ask them privately, and they didn't respond to him. So with no response and continual ignorance, or just people just ignoring him, he asked a question, and he got met with this response, which is, could have gone so many ways, and I think it went the very, very wrong way because of how it was responded to. And yes, I think we do need to accept that right now I think Casper has become increasingly more and more like a cult. And a cult can be good in a sense, shows conviction, but when your conviction blinds you from, reality, then there's a problem. We should be first and foremost a community who wants the best for us all to, again, come to this future of finance. We shouldn't accept everybody who's building on Casper. If Circle built on Casper, fantastic. Are they going to do illicit things? Are they going to try and find some back doors to siphon funds? It's me just throwing stuff out there. I'm not saying it's going to happen or if it's even possible, but we should always be looking out for the best of our community, not just taking things blindly as great news. So tough questions. Should not disqualify someone for being taken seriously. It should be done as we are ultimately trying to, build this future infrastructure. We should not, therefore, ignore hard questions, which there was hard questions ignored, and now they're being raised to Johnny after Shy made a bit of a racket about it, and some feathers are being raffled right now, and stuff are being revealed. So we'll have to see what happens as a result of that. But I'm not too worried in the grand scheme of things, because again, I don't think Casplex do. I would like to believe Casplex have not got any bad intentions, but also in the touch wood, worst case they do, we got IGRA, and I think IGRA, because of who they are likely going to be a lot more trustworthy either way. And we'll get to this post in a very short moment. Before I do, let's get into some of the questions real quickly as well. What's up, Ben, bro? Casper is going to kill off Ethereum. Unfortunately, ETH should have been much higher at this stage. I agree. Casper in future will kill off Ethereum, and it should be higher at this stage, but I think Ethereum can surpass all-time high this cycle. I think the bear market hits around August, and Casper will run on its own to the end of the year. Again, that's based on historical data, but we are in a fundamentally different cycle, so there's nothing guaranteeing that we're going to see bear cycle start in August. And actually, if you look at the last cycle, look at Bitcoin last cycle, that will go until November. So actually, the Bitcoin peaked in November. So if anything, that's actually a little bit later. And then again, if you look at Solana, or all the other altcoins as well, and look at the last cycle's for Solana continued running similarly till November as well. So actually, the last cycle was more so November. Bear cycle probably starts kicking in a little bit, but the price still values up higher as well. So again, I'm not fundamentally worried about when the cycle's going to peak. And while I'm looking at historical data as well, I'm looking also at the indicators that determine when the cycle's getting overheated, and equally fundamental developments to determine when the cycle's going to come run out of steam, if you will. And I don't think we're at that stage just yet. I think we've got a lot more time ahead of us. ETH is infinite supply too. Yeah, also Ethereum is infinite supply. That's also why Ethereum is going to fall off as well. ICP and limited supply is it's a dead chart. Yeah, again, ICP, maybe it makes a big gain from this point. Right now, again, ICP is what? If I load up the ICP chart again, ICP is right here. ICP $564. It's down massively from all time. If you look at it in a more smaller time frame, 1 month, again it's up 4%, 3 billion market cap over the year, still down 7 days. I mean, yeah, could ICP reach, let's just say, like, I don't know, $20 maybe? That's 4x, cool. But when you look in that chart, that's not reassuring regardless. Is ICP going to return to these sort of numbers? I don't see a way it does. I don't personally, and that's maybe my narrow mindset, but it's I don't know. I don't trust ICP personally. So much catalyst for Casper and smart contracts alone can push it to $3 without the rest of the KRI. I think for $10. $10's also possible. I mean, we'll have to wait and see ultimately. I think Casper does have a lot of catalysts coming forward that will be very, very good to help its price rally and more adoption. But we have to wait to see ultimately, because while we have the catalysts coming out, we haven't got a confirmed date of when these stuff are going to take off and if we get the adoption coming through quickly enough. Also need tier 1 listings, so I have to wait and see when they come out as well. But who knows, maybe it is possible. The next 12 to 18 months, maybe it's possible, who knows. Smart contracts, stable coins, KRI, and tier 1 listings, and people think Casper coin $1 is stupid. I mean, anything's possible, and people are well inclined to believe what they want to believe. Being conservative, there's nothing wrong with being conservative, but I do think that, $1 is not I think $1 is achievable, is how I'm going to put it. Maybe $10 would be a $260 billion market cap, which, that's that's half of what Ethereum's all-time market cap is. Like Ethereum's highest market cap is just above 500. So that's half of Ethereum, which, despite there being more money in the cycle than ever before, that is a big ask. I'm not saying it's not possible, but it's a big ask. So maybe it's unlikely, but we'll have to wait and see. I transferred 150 USDT on Stupidtron, and they charged me 7 USD. I mean, again, that's the whole premise of Casper and other, there are multiple chains that are better, of course. Obviously, Tron's the best for stablecoins, but Casper is going to be a lot better in the future anyways, because it's already cheaper, and when you have stablecoins on Casper, those transactions will cost less than $1. $10 ain't even being a moon, but understanding what Casper is. We have to wait and see, though. We have to wait and see. I mean, $10 is definitely something that Casper can achieve in the future. Will it be the cycle? Who knows? If Casper doesn't hit at least $1, it's being manipulated to stay down, potentially. I mean, we've seen manipulation going on. There's definitely talk about it, so I'm not against the idea that it's been manipulated. Let's just see where it goes, though. I mean, $1 would be a 10x from here. That's still very impressive. What's up, Falco, bro? You're doing very, very well, my man. What's the community salty about today? Well, it's mainly just Johnny having his own... I mean, it was more... What I just showed was a very small snippet of it. There was actually a lot more webs branching out from it as well. But some of it Johnny did apologise for, and the way he conducted his messages. One of them was to Mike himself from the IGRA Labs team. But there was a lot of comments saying it was equally a bit, again, short on and dismissive on and defensive about, which I think, again, is a problem. So I have purposely showed the FUD elements of it. There were parts that were also fine, which, again, is why I'm not showed the whole thing, so I'm making that clear as well. I'm not saying John is a bad guy at all. I'm just saying that the defensive and combative nature was unnecessary, because the questions in itself weren't problematic. At least not from where I stand, they weren't problematic. It could be a very simple, this is the people behind Casplex, you can find more information about them here. Audit, this is what it is. What our role is that. I don't know why the IGRA Labs thing needs to be mentioned at all. And I got $3 without smart contracts, just noise about it. True, exactly. I mean, yeah, Cardano got to a $95 billion market cap before smart contracts. So, in that regard, then why couldn't Casper? Again, we'll have to wait and see, though. I also believe this bull run will be the biggest bull run in history. This bull run has already been different from every other bull run. Global adoption is happening. Every country, every central bank, every institution, hedge fund, and government have no choice but to adopt crypto. Yeah, and that's information I'm covering with my VIPs as well in the VIP server. We covered that in our roundtable today. We covered a lot of in-depth information regarding AI, regarding yield farms, regarding, no joke, this is going to be a, quote, 84 trillion, with a T, dollar wealth transfer from baby boomers to Gen Z and Gen X and millennials. That's the wealth transfer we're seeing happening over the course of the next, years, a few years or so, starting this year. So, again, if you want to find out more about that sort of stuff, then again, check out the Discord server, the VIP here. But this is going to be an explosive bull run for me as well. Not financial advice, it's just based on the information that I've seen and what these institutional researchers are telling their clients. I'm simply just parroting that. I got the Bitcoin getting over 140k, maybe 120. We'll have to wait and see. M2 says it can go higher, but it depends on, institutional adoption. We haven't even got the retail market back in full force just yet, by the way. They don't come in until normally altcoins starts, so we've still got more time. 200k Bitcoin by next year? Maybe. 150k max? Again, we'll have to wait and see. 200k, I think, maybe 130k tops. I mean, I think 130 to 150 is not a bad shout, if I was to give a, perception. Fed rate cuts in September, alt ETF approvals in October, all building up at the end of the year, blow off top in your opinion, or my opinion. And, I mean, yeah, I think we'll see some regulations enforced by, July, next month, August time, followed with rate cuts and ETF approval from altcoins. That will definitely cause a lot more momentum to send the markets higher than we expect. The past 3 Bitcoin moves has risen by 47%, and Bitcoin was about to make another explosive, but I bet another 40%, which put Bitcoin at 160k. We'll have to wait and see. Again, it's all good looking at data and TA and whatnot, but you have to understand that we do not drive the markets. And for the first time ever, it's not market makers, it's institutions. They have a complete different, they play a completely different game to everybody else. So what they want to do will happen. All we can do is just follow along. We are fishes swimming along with the whales. That's all we can do. But yeah, 4-year, I mean, maybe we see a 4-year cycle continue, but again, information that I have to my VIP suggests it may not be this case. We may actually see the end of the 4-year cycle. Did buying $5 Casper accomplish anything? I mean, it was never meant to accomplish anything per se. At least my perception of it was meant to be I'm DCAing more into Casper and just partaking in a community event. I wasn't expecting the price to jump to, 50 cents off that. But we did see a little bit of a alleviation in price at the time. That's too small of a time frame. Which would have happened around where's the date? 8th 2. So around here. So this here is all the buying. Happened around that time. Or more particularly, it would have been around this one here. So in the grand scheme of things, they don't know. But my premise was never to send Casper up higher as a result. My premise was to DCA a bit into Casper. Because, I'm doing it anyway, so why not just partake in an event when I'm doing it anyways? Nothing wrong with it. I'm still going to end up making profit off it when Casper does end up rallying up higher anyways. Bitcoin had FUD in the early days like Casper did today. Yeah, exactly. Every project had its own level of FUD. Bitcoin had it as well. Casper's no different in that regard. Yeah, again, it wasn't meant to be a game-changing thing. It was just a community thing, Welcome back to Miles, bro. You're doing very, very well, bro. ICP, you know what I mean? Welcome back, BB, bro. You're doing very well, brother. ICP, also nice one. $10 is possible purely based on tech, but that isn't how these markets operate. Every other project in the space has vested interest in Casper, in seeing Casper fail. Yeah, that's also a premise as well. A lot of projects accept and understand that Casper is a threat to them, because it's doing what they can do in regard to speed and security while still being what Bitcoin's meant to be: decentralized, open source, fair launch, which nothing else was. The reason why every other project has gone to a centralized schematics is because they perceived that what Bitcoin did was impossible to achieve, or what they wanted to do was impossible to achieve. And Casper proving that it is possible, and that is a threat to their own infrastructure and protocols. So there may therefore be a restriction of Casper trying to, keep a lid on it, potentially. But Casper, because of what it's building and how innovative it is going to break free of it. You can't ignore it forever. And eventually, the people, just the same way how you have the banks who are now adopting crypto, the ones who are first movers will get the advantage. The chains, the blockchain protocols that decide to jump on Casper's layer 1 or layer 1.5 first will get extra benefits as well. So you might see the Bitcoin blockchain jump on Casper, and therefore it will gain another level of adoption again. Everyone buys Bitcoin, so it might be very big for them. You might see Sui jump on Casper in the future. Casper has the potential to be the blockchain infrastructure for the entire crypto space in the future. We'll have to wait and see though. That being said then, let's get into the reason why, or part of the reason why. We can see here, going on to more detail, we've got here, the testnet we've been waiting for is now officially here. IGRA Labs, the Caravel, butcher the name, I apologize, is coming. So we have the April 2025 with the invite-only DevNet with core development infrastructure happening. And now we can see that the IGRA testnet, the public testnet, is now around the corner, launching in mid-July, which is 1 month away from now, 4 to 5 weeks away from now, which is huge news. So Caravel brings us closer to IGRA's goal, a new programmable system that prioritizes decentralization and security infrastructure for a trustless, scalable digital economy. Releasing the node client layer 1 to layer 2 canonical bridge protocol for lighter nodes, DAO governance, and full compatibility with ZK execution clients. Based on what it means, we've got the trustless central resistance here. No centralized entity should be able to filter or drop your transactions. The same goes for miners, so it's completely fair launch, completely secure, nothing, no one can take control of the network, and therefore meaning you have more security in that regard. This is why shortly after Caravel's launch, we're releasing the IGRA node client to the public. Don't trust, verify. And that for me is very big, and that's something that I wish everybody should do. They're not saying don't just trust me, bro. Verify it for yourself. Same way I say, don't just trust what I say blindly. Do your own research. You shouldn't ever just trust someone blindly. Do your own research about stuff to get your own understanding about it. With the IGRA node client, anybody can build and validate layer 2 blocks on layer 1 data. You got Bitcoin grade security, of course. No external entity, sequencer, relayer, or indexer can censor or filter your transaction once it's sent and finalized. IGRA is a based rollup. It inherits the resilience of Casper proof of work consensus, making sequencing resistant to bugs, downtime, and forking attacks. The testnet will connect to Casper's testnet 10 from day 1, which is on 10 BPS now. Unlocking Casper. We unlock Casper utility by trustlessly bridging to it from layer 1. Our canonical testnet bridge will mint ICAS one-to-one with native Casper. No liquidity pools, central exchanges, or Oracle required for pegging the price. The mint logic will be fully visible in the IGRA block builder. Completely transparent and visible is what we want to see. Again, we want to see everything as easy as it is to find it. ICAS will be the gas token of the IGRA network. So it's in that regard then a bit similar to the wrapped CAS element. And so the whole premise here is we are, there's going to be transparency. We can see how the minting logic is going about. The ICAS will be the IGRA's gas token, but it's going to be one-to-one to Casper. So in that regard, it technically is just Casper, just IGRA's version of it, but it's one-to-one backed. Fairness and resistant to front running. You shouldn't be exploited by third parties. Miners should compete for your transaction fees, nor extort you by reordering transactions, which is MEV resistance therefore. Fully reliance on layer 1 sequencing replaces MEV with fair auction mechanisms and significantly reduces front running opportunities. Very, very big. Node democratization and diversification. All that here as well. Talk about KRP15. Talking about ZK based pruning is live. All this sort of stuff as well. Governance by community. So if you're owning, we believe in systems controlled by decentralized governance. This is why we aim to release and test DAO smart contracts right from the Genesis block. This will be voting on protocol parameters, fees, and token allocation will be handled by the IGRA DAO, which will be therefore likely us as well. It's not the whole purpose of DAOs means that you can also partake in that. I'd like to believe the smart contract elements. No hidden distribution behind curtains. Token holders will gradually gain control over protocol parameters, fees, and treasury. So if you are holding the tokens, you'll be able to control how this smart contract ecosystem functions. So you as a community, us as a community, can vote how it's better performed, if it needs to reduce the fees, if it comes to an agreement, it will do it. Again, that sort of stuff. It's a very, very important element to building more trust as well. Future-proof design. We're building for what's next. The future of rollups is zero knowledge. ZK and IGRA is already designed to integrate it, so it's already ready for it. So once Project Sparkle has fully completed the ZK element, it's going to be a seamless switch onto IGRA. They're already ready for it, which is fantastic. Shrink node requirements, unlock advanced features like seamless bridging and atomic cross-chain smart contract calls. Very big. Our EVM execution client is ZK ready. We even removed the mempool to making proving economically feasible. Once ZK opcodes land on Casper, we won't need to adapt. We just plug them in and scale. Fantastic news. Very much looking forward to IGRA's testnet and seeing what's going to be coming out. The timeline, as we can see here, seems to suggest that we'll be seeing in Q4 incentivized mainnet token launch. So we're going to see the testnet and pre-liquid tokens coming out in July. You got July, you then got August and September, and then Q4 October. So starting in October, unless we get a very fortunate scenario comes out earlier, but otherwise it could be starting time in October, maybe November. We'll see the mainnet launch of IGRA's Layer 2, and likely ZK therefore as well, and much, much more. So again, very exciting stuff. A lot more is coming very soon for Casper, which is huge. Very, very big news. And you've got a lot of initiatives that are also taking part in this as well. Della Swap, for example, they highlight here on Casplex from block 0 to 107,523 so far on their deck, which is huge. 26,500 swaps, 117 liquidity pools, almost 5,000 unique users with 7,000 wallets, over 100,000 transactions, and 82.5% of all DApp-related activities, excluded Casper Faucet. All on-chain or verifiable. We're just getting started. That is very, very good to see. And of course, they will also be running on IGRA as well. Best of both worlds. So Zealous right now is in a very, very secure and strong spot. Let's hope they can put their money where their mouth is and it remains to be trustworthy, because we don't want to have a change finance again. Casper ZK based layer 2s will be VM language agnostic with user experience like a layer 1, all secured by decentralized proof of work that scales with network legacy. Casper is the endgame. Layer 2s, ZK rollups, they are the endgame for Casper, allowing it to scale while also remaining secure and decentralized. It'll be a very big thing, making layer 2s, these sequencers, basically obsolete. And you're seeing big names as well that are also jumping on Casper. You've got Paul Van Son of the KII, big names helping out Casper as well. One of them here, who's part of the KI team, Gary Plover, has 7 years of blockchain experience as a role as the Secretary General, heads the INATBA, and she works with over 230 leaders across industries, academia, and the public sector to promote sustainable blockchain adoption. And she is now working with the KRI, therefore working with Casper as well, which is huge news. And a testament to Casper already. Crypto OD has done a lot of speed trials with Casper so far, and if the list stroke is here, Casper speed averages around 1.96 seconds, and that's based on the fact that hardware cannot keep up with Casper's speed, because actually it's faster than that. Next, Hyperliquid, then it's APT, then Say, TRX, Nano. Nothing is faster than Casper. Nothing. It's like night and day almost a full second faster than Hyperliquid. Hyperliquid came out recently, and this whole premise is being really, really quick. Casper has that while being decentralized. That's why people are scared of Casper. It threatens what they perceive as the most important function of crypto, or its future finance being speed and security and scalability, and and again also the price. Casper's also probably the cheapest here as well, so it's a very big deal. And we've got a lot of things happening next week as well. Some macro data here. The main one for me is going to be happening on Wednesday and Thursday. The PPI inflation and the CPI inflation will be very important to determine how the Fed are going to react on the 18th in 10 days time. And we'll see that. And we also have on Tuesday and Monday some very important stuff happening in Congress regarding the Clarity Act bill being passed forward as well, or hopefully passed forward. We'll have to see where it goes through. And also stablecoin bill potentially, the Genius Act also potentially. So next week's going to be a very, very critical, important one. I'll let my VIPs know ahead of time what's happening. I've already have done. If you want to find out more ahead of time, check that out. If not, then you'll find out maybe a little bit later on as well. And also some other big news as well. The M2 is going to go up higher and higher as well, as China is also injecting more money into the market. That in 10 weeks time will flood into the crypto markets as well, setting us a lot higher as well. Again, how long we've got left of the cycle, we don't know. But for me, we still got a good few months left. We're currently in June. We could easily be going into end of 2024, not maybe even end of 2025, maybe even 2026 again. We have no idea right now, but things are seemingly placed for the long term rather than the short term right now. Hemp is far better as a paper material than wood, but lumber companies saw that it had hemp industry never took off because there were threats to the profits. But yeah, precisely. Again, people will see that there's benefits in Casper, of course, but so I get your point there. Because Casper is such a big threat, they may try to completely stop it from taking off completely. But my hope and my belief right now is that Casper is already a relatively well-established project. 39 on CMC it is well known, and you've got a lot of very massive influential names like Somplinsky, like Hans, like Michael Sutton, who have been building on Casper and bringing it out there. So I think Casper, I mean, I can't say Casper's too big to be killed, but I'm very confident that it can't be killed, and people are eventually going to have to accept Casper for what it is and either adopt or fall behind. Other projects paying some influence down. And also sure that's going to happen as well. If not, it's already happening, that people are being paid to downplay Casper, which again, you're going to see that happening more and more, But if the take it from a perspective that if they're being paid to downplay Casper, it means they're worried about it. So it evidently is a problem for them. And that's why we're here. Hash rate falling off a cliff. I haven't actually looked at the hash rate in quite a bit. Hash rate is currently at 21994. Obviously that is divided by 10 technically thanks to 10 BPS, so it's actually lower than that, but it has been being very shaky recently. You're probably seeing some mining platforms and whatnot just having maintenance and whatnot. We've seen that quite frequently. As Casper's price is not really moving right now, you might see people also turning it offline for the time being. But for me, again, there's been a lot of questions about it in communities about the nature of the hash rate and how it's going to work, or the nature of the profitability in mining, how it's going to work. And for the most part, those who quote unquote know what's coming, they're not worried about it at all, because the whole premise of mining Casper is not to mine Casper, but to mine the transactions. When the actual ecosystem starts being more developed and volume comes on board, which will be coming through with these layer 2s soon coming, and soon to be stablecoins as well, you'll see miners making profit again. And then they'll be getting Casper rewards as well as mining the blocks of Casper as well, getting the transaction fees as well. So I'm not worried. Not that I mine Casper anyway, so I can't say anything about that, but I'm not worried for the miners. Those who mine Casper for the most part that I speak to, they're not worried about it either. Hash rate is likely dipping due to Casper price. It's only possible for people like Marathon right now or smaller solo wind farms. Probably, yeah. I was hoping the price went up to make it profitable, not hash rate falling off. I mean, hash rate falling off just means that people are going offline, but it also makes it that less competition as well. So it does kind of counterbalance it, so you can potentially mine more blocks therefore. Although most of it is already mined out, I guess, anyways. New projects like Currency and Casper are coming to the Casper network. Are you all ready to sell your bags? I mean, I've not heard about Currency, but I've heard about Casper. Proof or point of sale. And I think Casper is going to be a very, very big thing. They're talking about trying to get their platform working with Shopify. And that is huge if they can get that. That'd be a huge deal getting Shopify to work with them. So I have to say. Those who sell when the price goes up a little, go buy pizza. It reminds me also of Bitcoin. Oh, I remember seeing that as well, actually. I remember back in the day, I remember seeing it in the newspaper back in the day where it was some competition, some spelling bee or something. I don't even remember what it was, or some like athlete competition or whatever it was, where first place won like a 10 grand, prize. Second place won 2 Bitcoin or something like that, or 20 Bitcoin. And third place won like a $20 note or something like that. And of course, now you're like, oh my god, second place, cashed out. Well, apparently that individual, spent that Bitcoin on some pizza on that time, which is just so sad to think about. Imagine 2 Bitcoin right now, that's 200k. That's insane. If you had that back then, that's 200k. Given that, it's insane. Of course, there's anything that anybody could wish they would have done differently in their lifetime was, if they found Bitcoin early, was to invest into it. I think everyone can say that much. I mean, technically speaking, here with Casper early, you could argue in a similar position, but, in regards to price, I cannot confirm. It seems more or less unlikely that Casper could ever surpass Bitcoin's price, purely from the fact that, again, its market cap. Bitcoin has a it's a supply. Even Bitcoin has a 21 million supply. Casper has a 28 billion. So trying to surpass Bitcoin's price is very, very difficult. He didn't just buy a pizza, he bought a place in history, in Bitcoin's history. Yeah, exactly. He bought pizza with it, but he also is going to forever be remembered as unfortunately, the idiot that spent 200k on some pizza a few years back. It's crazy, but it's also a testament again that Bitcoin back then, crypto can be used as a form of money. And you're seeing that all over the world now, more and more places accepting XRP transactions, Bitcoin transactions, even Casper transactions now as well as payments. It's going to keep scaling up more and more. Banks are getting more involved. Again, a lot more in-depth information about what they're building is available in my VIP group as well. So if you want to find out more, links are below in the description and also on my homepage as well. And again, if you want to find out more, check out the BYDFI affiliate channels and links. You could get a 17% discount on all trade account alongside other benefits like a 1 month free trial to the VIP as well. But that's currently where we sit right now with Casper. Again, the FUD is frustrating. I'm tired of covering it. That's why I don't want to spend too much time on it today. But I'm happy that IGRA Labs have finally made some noise and announced their testnet's coming. So I'm very much looking forward to all the information stuff coming from IGRA. And, seeing the two initiatives compete for the number one spot, if you will. I know that Shy is definitely more bullish, if you will, on IGRA, which is expected because he doesn't like Johnny and KEF, doesn't trust them. And actually because he knows the people behind IGRA as well, so he trusts them more. But you have to wait and see what happens right now. People are going to say that Q4 is too late for Casper. I personally disagree. I really, really do. And that's based on the information that I have in my VIP channels that lets us know what the institutional sentiment, the smart money are saying, and when they think the cycle's going to peak as well, which I don't think Q4 is going to be. I think Q4 is going to be fine. Personally, I do. From what I've seen, it's going to be fine completely. But with that being said, though, if you've got any more questions, let me know down below. If not, then if you enjoyed the stream, always leave a like, share with your friends, and subscribe for more. We've got confirmation now on USDC, but it was just nothing more than an introduction to Casper, which is unfortunate, but again, it's a sign of what is to come. Hopefully more conversations, and eventually USDC will be on Casper in the future, but it was just an introduction more than anything else. IGRA's now got a testnet, very, very cool to see. And of course, the FUD with Casplex. Frustrating, but questions are being asked, and it's good we're answering questions, so we can actually get some clarity as we deserve it. Imagine the guy in Florida who wants to dig out the garbage dump for 755,000 Bitcoin on a hard drive, that would be nuts, you know. I'm pretty sure I've heard a story about how some guy had Bitcoin on a like a hard drive or whatever, and he forgot the key to it, or he lost the password or whatever, and it's just stuck there. And that is the saddest thing ever, honestly. How do you feel about Casplex smart contracts? Right now I've got a very kind of a passive approach. Like, I think it's great to have them. I think they're doing a lot of good things. I just wish there was more clarity. I don't think they changed finance so far, which is a big thing. That's a good thing. But I do think there's more clarity needed, and I think their marketing for Casper in general is terrible. But I think their marketing needs a bit of a tweak as well, because that for me is not on. And I say that again as a nobody. I'm just some influencer. So what does it matter what I say? But I don't think that's on at all. The way that it's responded. The first part here, I think he's basically come at the whole community saying, how can you say these are good questions? They're not. I don't think that's not right at all. And while you might have a point in some of this, I think, again, the way it's conducted was not good. I have no problem with Casplex. I like Chris Kang. From what I've seen, I like 5BB. And I like everyone that I know work for the KEF. I like them. I don't like the way Johnny conducts himself online. I get similar quote-unquote shy vibes, if you will. Actually, I get shy vibes from the way he conducts himself on Twitter. But otherwise, I have to see if they do answer some questions properly and give some more transparency, because IGRA have been more transparent from what I can tell. But we'll find out more, hopefully, in the coming months with these test nets and main nets coming out in due time as well. That being said, if you want to find out more stuff, check out the Discord server, VIP and free one. Leave a like, show friends go for more. Have a great day, even again, my people. I will not be here from Friday to Sunday, reminding you all once again, because I'm going to be at a friend's wedding. I'll be here tomorrow though, so stay tuned for that. And yeah, see you all next time. Have a great evening, people.